here is a square,
Square.
a cycle, a pentagon, and
Okay. And what it do?
circle is the start.
Square.
Square is the assignment, and the pentagon is if.
If
If.
anybody knows something about
Those
flowchart?
shapes are written by
Arrows.
arrows.
Yes. Who else? Okay. That's it.
What I know about flowcharts is that there are many different shapes like circles, squares, diamonds, etc. Each figure has a different purpose, and sometimes you just want to give specific values to numbers or to represent an operation. You can use flowcharts to represent the progress of something, and they are used a lot in computers to do things. So what happens if we don't develop the right steps in an activity? You will probably fail doing that task because you won't know how to do it, and if you don't follow the correct steps, you will do a different thing or you will fail doing it. What difference exists between the steps of a daily activity and the step of a program that solves addition of three numbers? The difference is that to do a daily activity, you do it unconsciously, like you don't plan everything. And in the steps of addition of three numbers, you have to follow on a specific progress that is already determined by a computer or another media. What happens without a previous study? If you're going to do an exam and you don't have a previous study, you will probably fail because you won't be prepared to answer that exam or to do another thing. It doesn't have to be an exam, so you won't know what to do. When do we need to study for an exam? First, you need to know what the exam is about, so you can have an idea of what is going to come in the exam. So now that you know the topic of the exam, you can study, and that's the way that you are going to pass.
What happens if we don't have steps to go for vacations or if we don't have an itinerary?
There will be.
Raise your hand.
You're going to get lost.
Exactly. You can forget some things. Like what?
Your bags.
Raise your hand.
You can forget your bags or the time for the flight.
Okay.
You can forget it for the allocation for some place.
That's important. Anything else?
You didn't know what activities you will do in that place.
Exactly. So, anything else you forget? Yes.
Maybe if you are going to a hotel and you don't do a reservation, you won't have a place to stay, or you don't know anything about the place.
That's correct.
So here it is, the picnic flowchart, and I will explain to you. First, you put the start with the circle that represents always the start and the finish, and then you input the data. You won't do this in a computer, but here is an example for the activity. So I put F, M, and T. That F means food and water, M, materials like cups, plates, etc., and T, things like blankets, shirts, etc. So then that now that you have the data, you need to do the action that is represented with this figure, and you go to buy those things that buy represents this. Then you input data that are the options where you're going to do the picnic, the park, or a volley. But if you're going to the park that is represented by P, you will only need to take food and materials, because in the park you will have chairs and tables or something to eat there. So that's why if you're going to park, you only take F and M. Else, if you're not going to the park, you don't take that. The other option is that you're going to the valley. Then you'll need to take F, M, and T, because you need to take food, materials, and things like blankets, because in a valley you won't have chairs or tables to stay there. Else, you don't need to take anything. And this is a short way to represent the flowchart of a picnic. And then you always end a flowchart with finish around the circle. So here is the flowchart instead of the flowchart of the coins. This flowchart is about how to get an average. So you start the flowchart, as all the flowcharts, with a circle with start. Then you input the data that are grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4, and the result equal to 0, because you are going to make an addition of all these quantities. Then you put how to do the process in a square or a rectangle. So here is the operation. Result equal to grade 1 plus grade 2 plus grade 3 plus grade 4. Then you want to get an average, and the formula to get the average is this result, because there are all the grades, enter 4, because it's the number of grades. So that's how that's how you're going to get the average. But you want to know if you passed or you failed. So you need to use a diamond that represents if. So if your primary is bigger than 6, you passed. But else, if your primary is less than 6, you failed. And these shapes are to represent that you need to print this in the screen. So this is what is going to appear in the screen. And then to end the flow diagram, you put finish here, like in the start, because that's what you put the circle. So this is the flow chart. Saludos.